Good morning. Welcome to this exclusive interview with Maya Nelson, who is the interim head of Jakarta Intercultural School here in Jakarta. She may be the interim head, but she is also a long-term attachment to JIS, if we don't mind calling it JIS. She's a graduate of JIS. She was a teacher at JIS, so she has a deep and vested interest in seeing the future of this school. Now, from our perspective in now Jakarta, we have a deep interest in it as well, because this is the center of the, shall we call it the international community's education. They're the leaders, the innovators, the people that we look to make the education standards better. They've done that amazingly over many years and are continuing to do so now in a time of great difficulty when they've been forced to work off campus for so long, and then hybrids and all sorts of different ways of trying to keep education going. We think they've succeeded, they think they've succeeded, but we're going to hear a lot more about that from the lady herself. So Maya, congratulations on your appointment as interim head of school. We hope it's not interim too short, but interim extended into the future. What do you think you bring to the position that the school is in real need of? I've already mentioned the fact that you're both a graduate and a teacher at the school, so you must have a real insight as to how it works. What do you think you're bringing to it now?
Thank you, Alistair. It's good to be here with you today. I'm honored to serve as the interim head of school. As a longtime educator, I have experience leading in many different international schools around the world, particularly in Asia. And I'm most recently from Hong Kong, where I served as a principal for many, many years. My time here is, if you want to call it that as an attachment, right, from JIS, is that I did go to school here. I graduated from this amazing high school. I came back as a teacher, and now, yes, I am the interim head. But before I became the interim head of school, I was the elementary principal at both Pandak Indah and Patimura, and I was a parent. So my goal in life is to fulfill every role that you can at the school, I guess. I think it's a little bit serendipitous, but it's such an honor and such a delight to be here. And I think that what I can bring to you is not only my perspective and my observations through many different lenses of how I have seen this school, you know, from many decades ago to most recently, intimately working with the elementary programs, working with the school-wide programs as a deputy head, and seeing it as a parent of a child who just graduated last year. And then, of course, as well, I feel like I am, you know, a long-term educator. I've had decades of experience teaching, of leading, of working in international schools around the world and understanding what best practices are. So I feel like with the amazing team of faculty and staff here and my leadership, we hope to continue to lead the school forward and enhance all that we're doing here today.
Well, thank you very much for that. Very, very good explanation. Look, you do have a very good reputation as a school with top-level education. Has this suffered because of the pandemic? I know it's been very difficult to keep things going and keep everybody engaged. Have the online programs you worked on worked as you hoped and planned? And how are things going now?
I think when we look at where we are today, I think our online program developed into a very, very strong program worldwide. I think like many schools in the last 20 months, our teachers have had to pivot and change and grow and learn and figure out new technology that they never knew. And where we were in Indonesia and in Jakarta, you know, about 20 months ago, March 9th, you know, 2019, when we started this, is very different from where we are today. We have an online program. We're very fortunate that we have a hybrid program now. We're both online and in school for part of the time, right? I think so necessary for the children in the world. But during the online part, what we learned is that online can be done in many different ways. We moved to making it totally synchronous. so that the students were online when the teacher was online. And it was very much a real-time experience. Our teachers learned how to use breakout rooms. They learned how to use various tools. The technology that can be used with kids, often our kids will know how to use it much quicker, of course. They're that generation, right? But our teachers have had to learn and adapt, and they have done a fantastic job in not only keeping up, but in really, I think, becoming a leader of this program that we have. I know that all the pieces that we're doing to support student learning is looked upon as stellar, even from other schools in the region. We've worked really well together internationally. We've worked with schools in Indonesia and with schools internationally so that we can learn from each other, so that we can help each other out through this very difficult time. And what we know is that we have a school that's leading, that continues to do all they can to support students online, as well as now here on campus, and that we probably know more than we want to do. Right? Know more than we want to know about technology and online. But yes, I think that our program is great. I think the other thing that we've been able to do is we've learned that our students can learn whether they're here or whether they're sitting in Central, America, or in the middle of the US, or in some European country. We're all connected, and we've learned how to stay connected as best as we can online.
But having had this experience of extended online distance learning, which you've obviously done very well, as you said, how important do you think face-to-face learning is now that you've got a hybrid, you've got some of the students back on campus?
I think face-to-face is super critical for kids. I think that what we know is learning is interactive, it's connective. We need to be with one another, we need to collaborate, we need to have relationships. So, what we need as humans, right, is the ability to somehow or another belong to other people and to learn from other people. And what school does, whether you are 4 years old and on a playground in the sandpit, or you're in 11th grade trying to figure out what you're going to do this weekend because there's an upcoming party, all of those social opportunities give us learning about language, about where we stand and sit in the environment, who we are in the world, what our standing is, and what the next steps are about what we're supposed to do. It gives us an ability to grow our attention to things. It gives us an ability to practice our social skills. All those pieces go missing when we're online, right? That's the hard part that we can't replace very easily if we only lead a life that is totally online. I think that we also know that there are a lot of things that have to be done in a constructivist manner, meaning you have to have a hands-on program. Many kids, not all, but many kids need to be able to immerse themselves in a physics lab to be able to understand the concept of something that's taught there, right? Just like children may need to be learning with manipulatives in front of them to be able to understand a mathematical concept that's shown to them in 3rd grade. So in all levels, we need a level of being able to interact with the materials to be able to understand it better than just to have a flat platform, even though, right, our teachers were showing experiments online, our teachers were asking kids to participate, our kids were doing the art projects while the teacher was doing the art projects, even though all those things are happening. So that we certainly have learned that there are positive elements of online, and there are some that are not as supportive of what I think child development, adolescent development needs.
I think that you're absolutely on the right track. I only went to a on-campus school, so I think that 99% of the world did, and we don't know the difference. But now, yeah, I think people are appreciating getting back in contact with each other as well as with their teachers and the faculty. So I think it is very important. Now, international schools, by necessity, have to be expensive, and that sometimes makes them exclusive and ignoring groups that can't afford them or just don't qualify through disability or learning disabilities. How is GIST dealing with that? Because that's a very important problem that the world faces.
It is. And I think what we also know is that the world sometimes is not totally represented in these schools, right? And what we want at GIS, and I think what GIS has always stood for is being an inclusive environment. I know that that's what I felt when I was in school here. I know that that's what brought me into the profession that I'm currently in, is my time here on this campus and my time with the people in this country, and experiencing what the educators around me allowed me to experience. So we're so pleased that we have a program here, Alistair, that really is a continuum of services for all students. We believe that every child is unique. We believe that every child will have their own strengths and their own areas that they need to develop. And so currently, if you look at our support services program, which we are very proud of, we have, for example, learning specialists that are trained in how to work with children with learning disabilities. So that could be something as specific as dyslexia. We have speech language therapists who can work on articulation, or who can work on fluency or language development issues. We have teachers who work with second language English speakers. We have counselors, and we have a school psychologist, which is really something that's quite rare in schools. But we have a team of experts where their training and their experience allows them to uniquely develop programs to meet the needs of all our children. Of course, within that, there are always limitations. And so we're really, really happy that we're going to expand that even more. One of the things that we've been working on is how can we support families here in Jakarta who might not have children in the same school? How can we support families coming in from other countries who may need to look at two different schools if they have a child that has a neurodiversity that requires more intervention? So next year, in August of 22, we're so pleased to be opening up a GIS Learning Center. And in that program, we will have specialized teachers, again, who will work with children who have more of an intensive need for a program, an educational program.
So who will that learning center be open to, Maya? Will it still be only GIS students, or is that something that can be spread to more of the community? It seems like an extremely good idea.
Yep, it can be open to anyone who applies, right? So there's an application process anywhere from the world. This can be for students who are currently living here. We've talked to some parents. We've had quite a bit of interest. We've talked to some parents who are here and they don't have a program for their children. Their children may be tutored at home because their needs require something that can't be easily found. Or we even have students who are in other schools or in their home countries, and their parents have an opportunity to work here, but they can't come here unless they have an educational program for their child. So this is open to anyone. Of course, there's criteria, and there's a certain, it's a very intimate program, meaning we only will take 5 to 8 children to begin with. But our hope is to expand it. Our hope is to have several levels in the elementary and to expand it into the middle school and high school, because for us, what's so important is we want the children who come here to know that they are part of this community wherever that they need, right? That they are here with us, and that they don't have to leave at any time, unless, of course, their parents get transferred or something, but that this is their home.
Do you think that a program like that is needed? You can spread it through the rest of Jakarta. You can influence and inspire other schools to do things, because there is no such thing as a homogeneous education with everybody being the same. In my day, that was it. You shoehorned into one system and you all had to come out the other end one way or the other. Is that something you're going to be able to share with the Indonesian authorities, who are obviously in great need of inspiration because they've got a huge task to do?
I certainly hope so. You know, part of what we do as educators is we learn from one another, right? That is, students don't grow unless teachers continue to grow. And our ability to give professional development, not only to the faculty and staff at GIS, but to others in Indonesia is critical. That's part of our role. I think we have to give back. And we're only as good as the people who are around us, right? So I think what we know, right, what we learn from this needs to be shared out. This, you know, in international schools, I have to say, many years ago, and when I was first here, you know, programs like this didn't exist, right? And even 20 years ago, programs were not often seen in international schools, because international schools really were for a niche kind of family traveling overseas, right? between who travels overseas and who moves around, as well as our understanding of brain development and our understanding that children have various neurodiversities. No two children are the same, right? And that we need to be able to honor those and support them. I think that more and more schools, even internationally, have opened programs. So what you can see is there are some programs in different schools around the world. Of course, in countries like the United States or Australia, these schools are part of the public school system, right? Because they have to cater, really, they have to give a program for all students. But our hope is that we're going to open this, that this will grow, and that we can support our neighboring communities and the neighboring schools, and even the greater Indonesian community of educators, and learning what we can do for students who have different neurodiversities.
It's a great story. Let's hope no, let's not hope, let's push forward to make sure that it works, and we'll do whatever we can to help you. Maya, we are delighted to have spoken to you today. The position of JIS as a leader in education is very important to the whole community. We love that you're innovating and keeping going and telling everybody that the importance of education becomes even more important. We've got people in Glasgow talking about climate change, and that's driven more and more by young, educated people who understand the world much more. And that they're coming out of institutions like this because the education is broad and deep and meaningful. On behalf of Now Jakarta, I'd like to thank you, but also all of the other teachers that you represent and all of the other people who make JIS such a great school to go to. We thank you for being with us today and wish you the very best of luck with your new learning center and with everything else. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Alistair. It's been a delight talking to you. I hope that you take care of yourself and are well. And for anyone that wants to have more information about our learning center or even our school, we have a great place here. Come join us. Thank you.
Thank you very much.